On the far planet called Velthera, the royal families ruled with pride and power. They believed in strong bloodlines and arranged marriages. A child from a noble house had to be perfect, strong body, smart brain, and the ability to carry on. The family name? But Princess Eliara of House Siren was different. She was born with a damaged spine. She could not walk without a hover chair. Because of a rare genetic problem, she could never have children. For years, many nobles whispered behind her back, calling her the broken princess. Her father had passed away long ago, and her mother, Queen Sorrentha, ruled alone. The queen loved Eliara deeply but feared for the future. No noble family wanted to marry her daughter. Without a marriage, House Siren would fall, and other houses would fight for power. Then one day, an offer came from Earth, the home planet of humans. Earth's leaders proposed a political marriage between one of their own and Princess Eliara. In return, Earth and Velthera would share technology, defense systems, and resources. A deal that could save House Siren, the queen agreed. The chosen man from Earth was Commander Isaac Vorn, a young war hero known for bravery and kindness. He had fought in space battles, helped in peace talks, and saved many lives. When Earth's leaders asked if he would marry Princess Eliara, he did not say no. He simply said, "Let me meet her." Isaac arrived at the palace of Velthera in a silver starship. He stood tall, with short brown hair and calm, thoughtful eyes. His uniform was clean and simple. He did not wear jewelry or medals. When he walked into the grand hall, nobles stared at him with cold eyes. They thought he would regret his choice. They thought he would walk away after seeing her. Princess Eliara entered the hall in her hover chair, wearing a silver dress with blue jewels. Her long black hair was braided, and her dark eyes looked calm. But sad, she stopped in front of Isaac. For a few seconds, they just looked at each other. Then Isaac smiled and said, "Hello, Princess. I'm Isaac. Thank you for meeting me." Eliara was surprised. His voice was warm. He didn't look at her chair or at her legs. He looked only at her eyes. "Welcome to Velthera," she said softly. "You are far from home." "I don't mind," he said. "Sometimes good things are far away." The marriage happened 1 week later. It was quiet. No loud celebration. No music in the streets. Many nobles thought the marriage was a joke. They said, "What kind of prince marries a woman who can't give him children?" Isaac heard these words, but he said nothing. He moved into a guest wing of the palace. His room was close to Elira's, but they lived like strangers at first. They shared dinner sometimes, spoke about politics, and nothing more. Eliara believed he was only there because of duty. She had seen this before, people pretending to care, but not meaning it, so she kept her heart hidden. One day, a royal banquet was held in the palace. Nobles from all houses were invited. Eliara came with Isaac, wearing a white dress and a silver crown. She looked beautiful, even in her hover chair. But during the feast, a noblewoman from House Valen stood up and laughed loudly. "How lucky," the woman said with a cruel smile. "Earth sends us a soldier to babysit a broken throne." The room fell silent. Eliara looked down. She was used to this, but Isaac stood up. His voice was clear and strong. "Say that again," he said. "I want to remember the name of the person." "Who insulted my wife?" The noblewoman froze. She had not expected him to speak. "I came here with respect," Isaac said. "I married a princess, not because she is perfect in body, but because she is strong, smart, and better than anyone. In this room," he looked around at the other nobles. "You hide behind your rich clothes and old words. She builds things, she studies, she leads." People whispered. Some nodded, looked angry. Eliara looked at Isaac with wide eyes. No one had ever defended her like that in public. After the banquet, she asked him, "Why did you speak for me?" "Because you didn't deserve that," he said, "and because I meant what I said." Days passed. Isaac started visiting Eliara more often. They talked about Earth, stars, food, and dreams. She told him about her love for machines and how she spent hours working in her private lab. Isaac listened carefully. He asked questions. He smiled when she laughed. One day he said, "You're amazing, you know. You build machines with your hands and build peace with your mind." Eliara blushed. "You're not like other men." "Maybe that's a good thing," he replied. At night, Eliara sat in her chamber, looking at the stars outside. For years, she had felt like a broken puzzle, a noble name, but an empty future. But now, something was changing. Isaac didn't see her as a tool or a problem. He saw her as a person. Maybe this marriage would be something more but deep. Commander Isaac Vorn now lived in the royal palace of Valthera. The rooms were large and beautiful, with tall windows and smooth silver walls. But for Isaac, the palace felt quiet, like a place full of cold air and heavy silence. He had married Princess Eliara, the disabled royal heir who could not walk or have children. The marriage was political, made to save peace between Earth and Valthera. But Isaac had begun to feel something more. Eliara, however, stayed distant. They greeted each other with respect, shared dinners with polite words, and walked, or rather, floated together in the garden sometimes. But her heart remained behind a wall. She never showed emotion. She never asked personal questions. Her voice stayed calm, her face always still. Isaac understood. She had lived a life full of stares and whispers. She did not trust easily. Still, he hoped to change that. One morning, Isaac walked into the palace library and saw Eliara sitting by the window. Her hover chair was parked beside a wide desk where strange blueprints were laid out. Wires and glass. Parts were spread across the table. "What are you working on?" Isaac asked, walking closer. Eliara looked up. "It's a robotic hand, a prototype. I'm trying to make it light and easy to control with the mind." Isaac raised an eyebrow. "You're designing robotic limbs." "Alone, I've been building them since I was 15, she said quietly. "No one was interested, so I worked by myself." Isaac picked up a small round chip from the table. "This is Earth-grade material. How did you get it?" "I traded some of my own jewelry to a merchant," she said simply. "It was worth it." Isaac stared at her for a moment. She wasn't just smart. She was passionate. Focused, maybe even. A genius. "I know a few Earth scientists who would love to help you," he said. Eliara looked surprised. "You would do that, of course? This matters." A small smile touched her lips. For the first time, she thought maybe he was not pretending. That evening, a banquet was held again. Veltheron nobles gathered, dressed in bright colors and glowing fabrics. Laughter echoed through the halls. Isaac and Eliara arrived together. She wore a purple gown with silver threads, and her dark hair was pinned in a royal twist. Isaac, in his Earth uniform, walked beside her, calm and confident. As they entered, some nobles lowered their heads in greeting. Others whispered behind. "Fans." Eliara whispered to Isaac, "They're still watching us like we're a show." "Let them watch," Isaac said, smiling. "We'll give them something worth watching." The night passed with music, food, and speeches. But something strange happened. A servant spilled juice on Eliara's chair controls. The chair stopped working. Sparks flew. She was stuck. The nobles gasped. Some turned away in pity, others hid. Smiles. But Isaac stepped forward without a second thought. He bent down, lifted Eliara gently in his arms, and carried her out of the hall. No shame, fear, just care. Eliara looked at him in shock. "You didn't have to," she began. "I wanted to," he said. In the silence of the hallway, she looked up at him. "Why are you always kind to me?" she asked softly. Isaac looked into her eyes. "Because you deserve kindness. Not pity, not silence, just truth." Light. Later that night, Eliara invited him to see her private lab. It was hidden deep inside the palace, below the main halls. The door opened with a special code only she knew. Inside, the lab was filled with machines, tools, and glowing screens. Projects covered every table: mechanical legs, voice control systems, even neural wires that could link thought to movement. This is incredible, Isaac whispered. You did all this? By yourself? She nodded. I wanted to help others like me, not just Veltheron nobles. Anyone. Isaac walked through the lab with wonder in his eyes. You don't want power, he said. You want to change lives? I was born different, she said. People looked at me and saw weakness. I wanted to prove that being broken doesn't mean being useless. Isaac looked at her then, not as a princess, not as a noble, but as someone much greater. You're not broken, he said. You're a builder of hope. Next few days were different. Eliara started smiling more. She talked more during meals. She showed Isaac her old drawings and shared stories from her childhood. Isaac shared tales of Earth, the blue skies, oceans, cities filled with lights and life. He told her about his younger sister who worked in medicine and how she believed science could heal both body and heart. Eliara listened closely. Her eyes lit up when he spoke about Earth's hospitals and exosuits. She began writing new ideas for her robotic limb project. Slowly, friendship began to grow. But outside the palace walls, danger was rising. A rival noble house. Kellner was watching closely. They had always wanted the throne of Velthora. Now, they saw Elira's rising power and Isaac's growing fame as a threat. In a dark chamber, Lord Varric of House Kellner spoke to his spy. Find out what they're building, he said, and ruin it. Yes, my lord, the spy answered. Princess Eliara sat in her lab with a small smile on her face. For the first time in years, her heart felt light. The robotic hand prototype was working better now. Its fingers moved slowly but smoothly, following her thoughts through the neural link. She looked over to Commander Isaac Vorn, who was helping her organize the test results. You really understand all this? She asked. Isaac chuckled. Not all, but I'm learning fast. You're a great teacher. Elira's cheeks turned a little pink. She wasn't used to compliments, especially not from someone like him. They had started working together every day. Isaac brought her old tools from Earth. He arranged video meetings with scientists who gave advice about brain signals, energy flow, and safety. Eliara worked harder than ever. Together they made fast progress, but something else was growing. Too, not just science, not just teamwork. Feelings. Isaac looked at Eliara differently now. He saw her not only as a princess or a builder of machines, but as a woman full of strength and kindness. Eliara, too, started watching Isaac with softer eyes. He never treated her like she was weak. He never made her feel ashamed. Around him, she felt seen. One evening, dark clouds gathered above the palace. Heavy storm hit Velthera, with loud thunder and flashing lightning. A rain poured from the sky. Inside the palace, the lights flickered and then went out. The power was lost. Eliara was in the hallway, alone in her hover chair. The chair suddenly stopped. The battery had failed. Her cum device was offline. She sat there in the darkness, heart beating fast. She could not move. Then she heard footsteps. Eliara. Isaac's voice echoed. I'm here, she answered. He appeared from the shadows carrying a small flashlight. When he saw her, he rushed over. Your chair stopped? Yes, she said quietly. No power. Without asking another question. Isaac bent down and gently lifted her into his arms. I've got you, he said. Eliara didn't speak. Her hands held onto him tightly as he walked through the dark halls, the storm shaking the windows. He carried her all the way to her room and placed her gently on the bed. Thank you, she whispered. Isaac looked into her eyes. You never have to thank me for this. I'm your husband, Eliara swallowed hard. Her voice shook. But I'm not what a wife should be. I can't give you a child. I can't even walk. Isaac sat beside her and held her hand. You give me more than anyone ever has. He said, you give me purpose. You give me a reason to believe. Tears slipped from her eyes. You're not just saying that? No, he said softly. I mean every word. From that night, something changed between them. Their talks became warmer. Their eyes met longer. They sat closer. Eliara smiled more, and Isaac laughed louder. People in the palace noticed. Servants whispered, "They care for each other now, truly." Even the queen saw it and began to hope. Again, but far away, in the cold halls of House Kellner, Lord Varric was not happy. He had learned that Princess Elira's research was almost complete. She was building machines that could change medicine and even help herself walk again if she stands. Varric growled, "The people will love her. She'll be unstoppable." Turned to his spy, Marin, who had been planted inside the palace. Break her, destroy her lab, ruin their trust. Marin bowed. It will be done. Back at the palace, Isaac and Eliara were preparing for a big test. "This is it," she said. "If this works, the robotic spine support will let me stand for 10 minutes. Isaac nodded. "I'm here, always." They carefully attached the new device to her back. It connected to her nerves, supporting her spine and legs. Tiny lights blinked green. Eliara pressed the activation button. She felt a wave of warmth in her body. The machine adjusted itself. Her legs felt light, no pain, no pressure. She looked at Isaac with wide eyes. I think I can try." Stepped back. Holding his breath, Eliara slowly pushed herself up. For the first time in her life, she stood. Her legs trembled. She held on to the table for balance. But she was standing. Isaac's eyes filled with tears. "You did it," he whispered. "No," she said, smiling. "We did it." That moment was full of joy. But it didn't last long. Later that night, while the lab was empty, Mirren sneaked. Inside, she had a hidden code that let her pass the security. She planted a small virus chip in the main system and poured liquid metal onto the backup servers in the morning. Everything was gone. Files, blueprints, code. Eliara walked into the lab and froze. "No," she whispered. No. Isaac ran in after her. "What happened?" She checked the machines, all fried. Years of work destroyed. "Someone did this," she said. "This wasn't a failure. It was an attack." Isaac's face turned hard. "Then we'll find them, and we'll stop them." Eliara looked at the burned machines and broken dreams. Tears fell from her eyes again, but this time, not from weakness, from fire. "I won't let them win," she said. "I'm with you, Isaac." Said together. They stood in the ashes, ready to rise again. The air inside the palace lab was heavy with silence. Machines were broken, wires melted, and screens were dark. Smoke still rose from the damaged systems. Princess Eliara stood there, her hands shaking. Years of hard work, gone in one night beside. Her commander, Isaac Vorn, checked the control panel. "The virus didn't just delete files," he said. "It burnt the backups too. Someone wanted your research to disappear." Elira's voice was cold. "It wasn't an accident." Isaac nodded. "No, it was a betrayal." Later that day, Queen Sorrentha called an emergency council meeting. Lords and ladies of noble houses gathered in the high chamber. The queen sat on her golden throne, wearing a blue robe. Her face was calm, but her eyes were sharp. Eliara entered in her hover chair, followed by Isaac. She held a broken circuit board in her hand. "This was found in my lab," she said loudly. "It was placed there by someone who had access to the palace systems. Only a few people knew my lab's code." Whispers filled the chamber. Isaac stepped forward. "Whoever did this didn't just attack our research. They attacked our future. Earth and Velthera made peace through this alliance. This was an attack on that peace." One of the council members, Lord Thalic, from House Valen, raised an eyebrow. "Are you suggesting a noble would betray the crown?" he said with a smirk. "I'm saying someone did," Isaac replied, "and we will find out who." Queen stood. "Until we know the truth, I am suspending all research work in the palace. The Earth Alliance is also under review." Eliara turned quickly. "Mother, no. We're close to changing everything." Queen Sorrentha held up her hand. "I must protect the kingdom. And you." Eliara lowered her head. It felt like she was being punished, not the traitor. That night, Eliara sat in her room, staring at her blank screen. No data, no plans. Her hands felt empty. Isaac knocked gently and entered. I spoke with Earth Command. They're worried. If the alliance ends, Valthora might turn to another planet for support. Eliara looked up. So now I've failed everyone. Isaac knelt beside her. No, you didn't fail. Someone betrayed you. But I know how to fix this. She frowned. How? He stood. Let me speak to the council again. Let me tell them what kind of leader you really are. Eliara sighed. They won't listen to me. Can't walk. Can't carry the bloodline. Now I have no science to show. Isaac stepped closer. But you have me. The next day the High Council gathered again. This time, more nobles had arrived. Rumors of the attack had spread fast. Some were blaming Earth. Others whispered that Eliara was never fit to be a ruler. Isaac stepped into the circle. His voice was strong and clear. When I first came here, he said, many of you thought I married a broken woman, a woman who couldn't give me power or children. You thought I was here for politics. He looked at each of them. Some lowered their eyes. But now I know the truth. Eliara is stronger than all of us. She has built machines that can change lives. She stood for peace. She fought pain every day without ever giving up. He held up a small broken wire. You see this as trash? I see it as the piece of a dream that someone tried to destroy. But dreams don't die that easily. Not when she's alive. Murmurs. Spread through the chamber, Isaac finished. I married a woman, not a weapon, not a tool, and I stand by her. If this council cannot see her worth, then you do not deserve her. The room fell silent. Even Queen Sorrentha looked shaken. Then, slowly, Lord Thalix stood. I misjudged her, said another noble added. We all did. Back in the palace, Eliara was watching the speech through her screen. Tears rolled down her cheeks. When Isaac returned, she didn't speak. She just took his hand. You didn't have to do that, she whispered. I did, he replied. Because you never stopped fighting. Now it's my turn. In the days that followed, the queen lifted the suspension. Eliara was given permission to rebuild her lab, this time with stronger protection. Isaac arranged for Earth scientists and engineers to arrive. They brought data backups, advanced tools, and moral support. Slowly, piece by piece, Eliara's work began again. One afternoon, while testing a new version of the robotic spine, Eliara said, Isaac, there's something I've been afraid to tell you. He looked up from the console. What is it? Still wish I could give you children, she said, voice low. I know adoption is possible, but sometimes I feel like I'm not enough. Isaac stood and walked to her. He placed a hand on her shoulder. You are enough, he said softly. Children are a gift, yes, but love is the real family. We already have that. She closed her eyes and breathed deeply. You always say the right thing, smiled, only because you are the reason. But even as the palace began to heal, darkness still moved in secret. Mirren, the spy, had not been caught. She had hidden well. Now she was preparing a second strike, something bigger than before. She met with Lord Varric. Princess Eliara sat quietly in her rebuilt lab. The machines were new, the wires clean, and the lights bright. Earth scientists worked beside her, helping her test the updated robotic spine. She took a deep breath. This time, the technology was stronger. The chip inside her back sent signals to her legs. The new support system responded faster than before. Are you ready? Yusuk asked, standing beside her with a soft smile. Eliara nodded. Yes. She pressed the activation button. A soft hum filled the room. The robotic spine came to life. Energy flowed through her legs. Carefully, slowly, she pushed herself up from her hover chair. And then she stood, not just for a few seconds. Not shaking like before, she took one step, then another. Isaac held his breath. Eliara took 5 steps across the lab, her face glowing with joy. I did it, she whispered. Isaac ran to her and held her gently, proud and amazed. You're walking, Eliara? You're really walking? Tears filled her eyes. We did this together. Word spread across the palace. The princess can walk. People said in the halls. She stood with her own legs. Earth's help made it possible. Lyra's name was spoken with respect again, not pity. Even the nobles who once looked down on her now watched her with new eyes. The queen ordered a small celebration. For the first time, Eliara walked into the throne hall without her chair. Her steps were slow and careful, but she stood tall beside Isaac. The queen smiled with pride. You are no longer a hidden star, my daughter. You shine for all to see. Days. Later, a message arrived from the outer colonies. The mining colony of Darien 6 had been attacked. The people there had no weapons, soldiers. They were simple workers, men, women, many orphaned children. Velthara's defense forces were far away. The queen called a council meeting. Tension filled the air. We cannot reach them in time, said one noble. They will be lost.
Eliara
Stood up. I have an idea. The council turned toward her. I built a signal link into my lab machines. I can connect to Earth's drone fleet. If Isaac and I work together, we can send defense drones to protect Darien 6 within minutes. Earth drones? Someone asked. We've never used foreign weapons on our land. Isaac stood beside her. This is not about power. It's about saving lives. After a moment of silence, Queen Sorrentha gave a firm nod. Do it. In the lab, Eliara connected her neural link to the drone system. Isaac contacted Earth Command. They worked fast, guiding a fleet of drones across space through a direct control channel. On Darien 6, enemy ships were landing. People were hiding inside buildings. Children cried, holding on to each other. Then the sky lit up. Dozens of Earth-built drones appeared. Flying in formation, the enemy ships were surrounded. With perfect timing, the drones blocked every exit. They disabled the weapons without hurting anyone. The attack was stopped without a single death. The people of Darien 6 looked up and cheered. Princess Eliara saved us. They cried. She stood for us. Back on Velthara, the council praised her actions. You didn't just walk today, the queen said. You led. Isaac smiled at Eliara during the quiet evening that followed. You know what people are calling you now, he asked. What? The standing star of Velthara? Eliara laughed. It sounds like a poem. It sounds like the truth, Isaac said. They walked together in the garden, under the night sky. The stars above seemed to shine just for them. That night, as they sat on a bench, Eliara turned to Isaac. I still think about it sometimes, she said softly. How I can't have children. Isaac looked into her eyes. I know. I used to think I could never be a real wife. A real queen. Isaac took her hand. You are more than real. You're brave, smart, strong. And you have more heart than anyone I've ever known. He paused. What if we adopt? He asked. Not just one child. It'd be 2 or 3. Alira's eyes widened. You'd want that? Isaac smiled. A family is not made by blood. It's made by love. I want our home to be filled with voices and laughter. Lyra's voice shook. So do I. A few weeks later, they traveled to a refugee center near the border. Many children there had lost their parents in old wars. Eliara sat with a small girl named Tawny, who had a mechanical leg. She reminded Eliara of herself, quiet, serious, but strong inside. She also met 2 boys, Rico and Dallin, who were brothers. They had sharp minds and wild energy. They loved machines and asked 100 questions about the palace. Eliara and Isaac turned home with 3 children, not by chance, but by choice. Their rooms in the palace were filled with light, toys, and stories. Eliara taught them how to build. Isaac taught them how to fly small ships. At night, the family sat together, eating, laughing, feeling like something perfect had begun. But while joy filled the royal palace, danger still watched from the shadows. In a dark underground base, Lord Varric of House Kellner slammed his fist against the table. They're stronger than before, he growled. She walks, she leads. Now she's building a new family. His spy, Marin, stood beside him. She has Earth's help, Marin said. They're machines. They're soldiers. We must act fast. Lord Varric leaned closer. Then we destroy not just her machines, but her name. The final storm was coming, and Eliara would have to stand taller than ever. The palace was quiet under the morning sun. Birds flew over the shining towers of Velthera, and soft wind moved through the royal gardens. Inside the palace, Eliara stood at her window, watching her 3 adopted children play. Tawny, the little girl with the metal leg, was helping Rico and Dalon build a small flying robot with parts Isaac had given them. Eliara smiled. "I never thought this kind of life was possible," she whispered. Behind her, Commander Isaac Vorn stepped into the room and placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "It's more than possible," he said. "You made it real." They looked at each other. No more distance. No more doubt. They were truly a family now, built not by blood, but by love, respect, and trust, but far away. In the dark caves of House Kellner, danger was rising. Lord Varric stood before a group of soldiers dressed in black armor. "She has the people," he said. "She has Earth's support. But she still has one weakness." He pointed to a screen showing the faces of Tawny, Rico, and Dallin. "We take the children. The princess will break." His spy Marin, who had lived in the palace for years, nodded. "I can guide the soldiers through the old tunnels. They won't expect it." Varric gave the final order. "Do it tonight." That evening, the palace was peaceful. The children were asleep. Eliara was in her lab making small upgrades to her robotic spine. Isaac was preparing for the next day's peace summit, the first meeting between Earth and Velthera's leaders in history. Suddenly, alarms rang through the halls. "Security breach. West Wing." A guard shouted. Eliara stood up quickly, her heart pounding. Isaac grabbed his cum. "Get the children. Lock down the nursery." But it was too late. Mirren and the Kellner soldiers had already reached the children's rooms. The guards tried to fight, but were outnumbered. Smoke bombs filled the hallways. Panic spread through the palace. Tawny screamed as the masked soldiers grabbed her and the boys. Just then, a loud voice echoed through the hall. "Put them down." It was Eliara, standing tall in her silver armor, the robotic spine glowing softly behind her back. She held a plasma shield in one hand and a stun blaster in the other. Behind her, Isaac and a team of Earth and Veltheron guards followed. A fierce battle began. Eliara moved fast, her new legs guided by her mind. She blocked a laser shot aimed at Tawny. Isaac pulled Rico and Dallin to safety. Mirren aimed her weapon at Eliara and shouted, "You were never meant to lead." Eliara looked straight at her. "Lead because I care. That's something you'll never understand." In one strong move, she fired a stun blast that hit Mirren in the chest. The spy fell to the ground. The rest of the soldiers were pushed back and captured. The children ran into Alira's arms. "You're safe now," she whispered. Hours later, Lord Varric was arrested. He had tried to escape in a ship, but Isaac stopped him before he left the atmosphere. The next day, the Queen stood before the entire council. "House Kellner is finished," she declared. "Their crimes are clear. Their name will be removed from the royal record." People cheered. Peace had won. Again, a week passed. The peace summit between Earth and Velthora began in the capital's Grand Hall. Leaders, nobles, scientists, and citizens gathered from across the stars. Eliara walked onto the stage, wearing a white royal robe with gold lines. Her 3 children stood beside her. Isaac stood behind her, proud and strong. The crowd grew silent. Eliara looked out at them, humans, Velthorans and allies from other worlds. She spoke clearly and gently. "I was born with a broken body. People said I could never lead. Never. Marry, never have a family." She paused, "But I did. It. Not because of power or blood or war, but because I never gave up, and because someone believed in me." She turned toward Isaac. "This man came from a world far away. He didn't see me as weak, he saw my heart. And because of that, I found strength I didn't know I had." The crowd clapped. We built something together, not just machines. Not just armies, but a future. One where no child is left behind. One where disability is not shame, but a reason to rise higher. One where love, not fear, shapes our lives. Cheers filled the room. Eliara raised her hand. Today, Earth and Velthera become more than allies. We become family. The Earth ambassador stepped forward and shook her hand. Long live the standing star, said. People began to chant, standing star, standing star. Eliara looked up at the ceiling where lights shaped like stars sparkled above them. She had once dreamed of flying. Now she stood in the center of the galaxy's attention, not because of her body, but because of her heart. That night, in their family room, Isaac and Eliara sat with the children. The boys were building a model ship. Tani was painting a picture of the royal palace. "Mom," Tani said softly, "can I be a scientist like you one day?" Eliara smiled. "Can be anything you want," Rico added. "Can we visit Earth sometime?" Isaac chuckled. "Of course. Love the blue oceans." Eliara leaned against him and whispered, "We've come so far." Isaac held her hand. "And we're just getting started." And so, the broken princess became a queen of hope. The soldier became her shield. Their family became a symbol. For 2 worlds and the galaxy beyond, this was not just a marriage. It was the beginning of a new future.